Hi-yo, boys and girls. It's time for another Jeep Talk Show interview. We're going to be talking with Andy again. Andy is back with us. Andy grew up in Northeast Ohio and moved out west after college, where he dove. Yeah, I guess you could have drove into it. Dove into product development. He eventually founded Glutred alongside his dad, Dave. Glutred offers innovative repair solutions for off-road tires. It permanently repairs sidewall damage on any tubeless tire, plus provides fixes for tread area damage and valve stem replacement. On the valve stem replacement, you guys partnered with somebody, right? Or do you have your own thing?
Yeah, we partnered with Colby Valve on that one. So yeah, we made some slight adjustments to the product. The biggest thing that we did is we try to make all our stuff toolless repair. So what we did is they had a plastic wing nut that they were using to seat the new valve stem, and we kind of changed the engineering on that a little bit, and then actually manufacture ourselves an aluminum one, CNC machine. So it's lower profile. It works. I mean, some of these new beadlock tires, the beadlock wheels, they really protect the valve stem. So it's hard to get some of the bulkier Colby valves in there. So this one's lower profile and it's metal, so it won't break. All that's still all made in the U.S. But yeah, it's been working well.
So something I didn't notice the last time, at least I don't think I noticed last time, you moved from Ohio out west after college, and you and your dad developed this product. I remember your dad being involved in this. So was he still in Ohio and you were out west whenever you guys developed this product?
Yeah. So after college, I moved to Salt Lake, and I worked for a product development company there. And then we took product from concept to shelf into Lowe's and Michael's, some stores. So that's kind of where I got the product background. After that, I actually moved home for a short time. So moved back to Ohio for about 6 months. During that time, I actually worked at a rubber factory, ironically enough. Worked at a rubber factory, which is just a lot of those in Northeast Ohio. And it was kind of during that time, my dad and I started really diving into the Glutred stuff. And then, I think we talked about before, we actually originally came out with a product that you would add to the outside of tires. So you'd almost like individual lugs to retread an agricultural tire.
Right.
So that's kind of what started the whole thing. And then from there, we kind of pivoted into the sidewall thing. So my dad spent a lot of time, in the basement of the house in Ohio. He has an engineering background, but figuring out things about the adhesive and the rubber and the process and all that to figure out how to make all this work. But so while he was doing that, I was back and forth between Ohio a lot. I was in the time that we started the Glutred, I was guiding. So that's actually how I'm in Bozeman now. But I was guiding backpacking in Yellowstone in the national park.
I bet you that was amazing.
Yeah, it was great. It was great. And then I was doing that in the summer. And then during the fall, I was guiding elk hunting in Northeast Nevada. That all worked really well. I mean, Glutred wasn't making any money at the time. My dad was really focusing a lot on the R&D stuff. I was working, on some of the external business stuff. But again, it wasn't making any money. So I had to find a way to make money where I could work a week or two on and then have a week or two off to focus on, on the other stuff. So yeah, so I did that. During a lot of that, I was actually living in my Ford Ranger full time, which, I'm 6'1", and the bed of a Ford Ranger is 5'10", so it was kind of tight, but it's kind of the only option at the time. So, I was doing that. And then, eventually we got the Sidewall stuff to work, and, it's just kind of been on an upward trend since.
Welcome to the Jeep Talk Show Discord server, the best place for Jeep enthusiasts to connect, share, and talk about everything Jeep. Join our community today and start your adventure.
So when you say you got it to work, I mean, sidewall damage is something that everybody has been told. You get sidewall, it's done. You have to replace the tire. And on a four-wheel drive, that means you're replacing 4 tires usually. So it had to been very difficult from the liability standpoint, you can repair a sidewall, and it's for off-road use only. We joked around about that last time because you've had people that contrary to what you guys say, have used it on the road for a long period of time. But it's off-road only to help protect you liable wise. but it really is good stuff. But I would have been very nervous. I'm just the nervous type. I hear about these wonderful, wonderful inventions, and I think to myself, my God, that would be hard to put out. I mean, I often make Tesla references. Can you imagine making a self-driving car, unsupervised, no steering wheel or pedals? Just hop in.
Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, I think originally, and even I noticed in the entry or in the intro, it said, a permanent fix, and we don't ever market it as a permanent fix, to be clear. It's always like temporary fix, get you off the trail and so on. But like you said, especially for guys that, are trailering their vehicle places or stuff like that. I mean, there are obviously a lot of vehicles that are like off-road only too, right? The vehicles themselves are. People use them for a really long time. I mean, that's one of the cool things about the trade shows that I've been liking and really enjoying recently.
People come up and tell you stuff. Yeah.
Oh man, Easter Jeep Safari this year was a blast. I mean, first of all, our booth is just packed the whole time, which is really fun. But it's just people walking up and telling you all these crazy stories about how they used it and radiator hoses, a gas tank. We had one guy like actually fix a wheel. He like glued a patch to like the metal wheel. Really, really cool stuff just to see all of that. But yeah, back to your original question. I mean, we initially, released this as like a temporary fix. And frankly, my background is more in like power sports than it is in like full size vehicles, Jeeps and Toyotas and so on. So, like my dad he's 63 now, I think 62. Yeah, 63. And he still races ATVs like in
why the hell not?
All across the country. Awesome. But that was, for us, it was like a power sports focused thing where it's like, all right, well, you get stuck way out here. Like, what are you going to do? And it's the same thing with a Jeep, right? In some cases, even worse, you can go even further away from civilization. So, it's like, well, yes, it is like, man, you don't want somebody driving on the highway and wreck or all this other stuff. It's like, well, off-road use only. And all of our packaging says this now too. It's like, we have limits on the size, the damage, and how fast you want to drive and all this stuff. But like, the remainder, the reality of it is that like people use it in ways that we do not intend and we advise against, but are still like pretty wild, So
right. Well, just finding the right glue that will set in a reasonable amount of time and will hold in a harsh environment. So I think that fire extinguishers, for example, and I think the Colby valves also too. I think that they are generally, especially the fire extinguisher, generally speaking, the fire extinguisher is going to be used for somebody else that's on the trail. And I can see the Colby valve having the same thing. Do you hear about the Glutred that you're really helping out buddies more than you're helping out yourself?
Yeah, all the time. I think it's part of the funny thing is we'll often have somebody like walk up and be like, this happened just at EJS recently. They walk up and they're like, yeah, I just used my kit last week for this other guy. You know what I mean? It's like, you hear that all the time. Or the other one we get is like, oh, I don't carry it, but there's a lot of people in my group that do. Right. So it's just, kind of like a communal, like, maybe one guy's got a car.
Oh, somebody needs this thing. I'm not kidding you. This thing is really important. It's just a small bag. And how many patches can you do? You can do a fair number of patches with a bag, right?
We have kits that range in price from $10 up to $200, right? Mm-hmm. And a $10 kit will do it's one patch and it'll fix one piece of damage. The kind of our sweet spot is like we have the $50 kit that'll do like 4 to 6 patches, and then like $100 kit that'll do 4 to 6 patches, but also has plugs and valve stem, the Colby valves and all that stuff. So it's I don't know. It's the closest thing you can get to a spare tire in a bag, right?
So you have a kit that not only does the sidewall but also does the tread. With the plugs.
So we came out with our own plugs too. They're self-vulcanizing plugs. Everything we do is all made in the United States, so it's really important to us. So the plugs are made in the U.S. We came out with our own T-handles too. You see these T-handles at Advanced Auto or whatever. They're plastic, and if you've used one, you know how hard you have to crank on them.
Oh yeah.
And you see stories all the time of people breaking the plastic handle off and putting that rod through their hand. And then all of a sudden you got a hole in your tire and in your hand, and like, that's not a good way to hang out. So we got
the intro of the Glutred med pack.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we actually designed our own T handle, that it's all CNC machined aluminum. I mean, it's like way overbuilt.
Wow. Fancy.
But they have set screws in them as well. So if you carry power tools with you, you can actually loosen the set screw instead of like sitting there and reaming it. You can, fix that into a Milwaukee or whatever, whatever you have, and then you can drill it out, which goes a lot faster too. So it's like faster and safer. So just another thing, it's like what we're really trying to do is like genuinely make it the best kit that we can and make it all domestically. Because if you have to use the kit, it's already a bad day, right? Like things aren't going well. So it's like when you pull that out, you want to feel like, oh, this is something I can rely on and something that's going to work. And another thing on that topic, something that comes up frequently is our adhesive, right? And this is something that we try to get out to people all the time, but we occasionally have people be like, oh, I had damage to my tire, I opened the kit and the adhesive was dried out, right? So, and that happens. So the adhesive is a cyanoacrylate. By definition, it will eventually dry out. When we initially started, we were packaging in plastic bottles. We've since transitioned into like a metal bottle with a metal barrier and doing everything we can to extend the shelf life of that adhesive. We're somewhere now between 2 and 4 years. We actually haven't had any dry out of the new stuff, but
that's really frustrating. Some people are going to be excited. Like I spent the $50 on this thing and I finally get to use it. What the hell? This thing's, it's like getting that 50-year-old tube of caulk that you've been saving.
Exactly. And we do, when people reach out to us like, hey, this happened, it's like, I know it says it in the kit. We send out emails about it. We post about it.
Nobody's going to read that stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like, whenever somebody reaches out with that problem, it's like, all right, here's a whole new kit for free. Just check this. As long as it's liquid, it's fine, and whatever. So we do the best we can to serve the customer on that. But it is just something, not that you need another thing to add to your checklist before you go out on a trail, but it's something you just need to make sure is there,
Mm-hmm. So I probably cursed you with this on the last interview, the Jeep Talk Show $1 million idea. Have you guys, if you're not currently doing it, have you guys considered putting the Glutred logo on your patches? So whenever they patch their tire, it's the Glutred, Glutred.com. I think that'd be really cool, especially if it was embossed.
Yeah, we've put actually a lot of effort into that. We have figured out a way to do it. It's really expensive, and it's like, I guess there's 2 ways to do it. You can either print it or you can emboss it, like you say.
Right.
Our worry with embossing it is if you emboss it, it compromises the structural integrity of the patch, which is like, that's the most important thing.
And emboss it outwards. And also too, that means they're going to, well, not everybody, but that also means they're likely to put the logo on the outside and not try to glue,
totally.
which is what you want. All those bastards advertising. I don't want to advertise for them. Oh, why is the tire hissing at me?
Yeah. I mean, yes, we've looked at it, and that would be really hard to emboss it, even externally. Just the manufacturing process itself, we'd have to change the entire process. I bet it would at least 3x, maybe 4 or 5x the cost of the patch to emboss. Well,
at that point, you're paying for advertising. So, I don't know how much advertising you guys do, but we'll get to that in a second. But I mean, obviously, there's crazy ideas, and that's the difference between people with ideas and people actually making things.
Yeah, another one we worked on that I actually have prototypes for is a sticker that you can put over the top of it. Like I made it look like a Band-Aid. So that's you can put the Band-Aid on the patch, and I've had one of those on my dirt bike now for like 3 years. We never released them publicly,
right?
But they actually look pretty cool.
That's a good idea. I like that, the Band-Aid idea. I've seen that on damaged vehicles too. Whether you have the dent, put a Band-Aid on it. It's pretty funny.
Yeah. So, and we looked at printing them. We could print it. The problem is it would just rub off pretty easily. Mm-hmm. So it's like it would look good. And then the other thing is if you stack them back to back, some of the ink would get off on the back side of the other patch, and then that could interfere with the adhesion.
Right. Yeah. Who knows what it's going to do to the glue? So let me ask you. I don't want to advertise somebody else's stuff. and maybe you guys are already looking into it, but have you seen the little plastic or rubber screws that they're
totally.
that they're screwing into the thing? And I thought that might be kind of rough to do, depending on where the damage is on a maximum traction tire. How long does the screw, and so on and so forth. But what do you think about those things? I thought it was a cool idea, but it looked like it would be problematic, but a lot simpler than reaming things out.
Totally. I haven't personally used one. My initial impression of that is that it is a somewhat gimmicky Chinese product, which I feel like we see everywhere. And I am just so avoidant of anything that even vaguely resembles that.
Sure.
But so I haven't used one myself. I mean, instead of the plugs, maybe. Yeah, I don't know. I think, again, having not used one, the plugs are, to me, plugs in the tread area of the tire are just like so tested and tried and true and not that hard.
Oh, yeah, no. I mean, yeah.
Why
so reinvent?
Like, I know it's more work. Yeah, totally. And then the biggest difference, is in the sidewall is like, you're going to have the same problem, screwing into the sidewall as you would plugging a sidewall, right?
Oh, I don't think they use them. Yeah, I don't think they use them on sidewall. I don't think anybody else does sidewall repair other than you guys.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know. I haven't used them myself. I've seen that, for a while they were kind of going viral there.
Sure.
I've seen the ads for them. I've had people bring them up. I haven't used them myself, but to me, it's like, I don't know. You still have to have an additional tool. You have to at least have a screwdriver with you.
Right.
And I don't know. Sometimes you can only. I don't know if you can put two in side by side. Like what happens if you?
I bet you can.
Normally we'd put two in. I don't know. Yeah, I just.
So not anything you guys are looking at or working on, and also too, it kind of looked like it might be a bad idea to me. So I figured with your expertise, you could clarify that isn't something that you think would be great, which is basically what you've said. So on the so you've got a kit that has plugs, has patches for the sidewall, and nobody's watching you. You can do whatever you want, but it's really not designed to put plugs and patches. Although I've seen people just patch the hell out of a sidewall damage so they can get off the trail. And that's the great thing about this one. And I don't know if we've actually explained, and I forgot to do the website, glutred.com. Go over there and visit, and you can look at some of this stuff. But basically, the product allows you to patch a sidewall damage, usually on the trail, and that's the place that you guys only recommend using it is off-road, not on the streets. Correct?
Correct. Yep. So all off-road use. And I think one of the biggest advantages to the product is you can do the whole thing without removing the
I was going to bring that up
from the vehicle. So you can put the patch on and reinflate and then continue moving. And so it's like something that's, meant to be done on the trail like that. We have had people that, like, for really serious damage, like they'll get home and then they'll patch from the inside. So they'll patch from the inside and the outside, DB the tire and all that. But like the whole idea of the product initially was that, you wouldn't have to do anything like that.
Right. So. And you guys have had a lot of success with this. Any failures that weren't due to improper placement of patches? I would assume that it's pretty simple. You got to make sure you get enough glue on there, and then there's a certain amount of patch that has to go around the damaged area, like 1/8 inch, quarter inch, whatever it is. And have you seen anything? Have you learned from anybody that maybe you need to make them sign a waiver that they've read the instructions first?
Totally. I think we have a couple really common mistakes. The first one, the one that we dealt with early on, was people using way too much adhesive.
Oh, that makes sense.
Use more is better. Put more adhesive on there. Hold it.
Well, you don't want to put too little and then have to go through the whole thing again, right?
Right. So, and in all of our kits, we have cards that shows exactly how much to scale and everything. But that's no one reads instructions. So that's the first one. The next one is just not enough prep to the tire, right? So it's kind of a pain. But like if you have damage over lettering or something like that, like you have to get the lettering down. It has to be flat, right? You need a rubber to rubber contact is what we say. But so it has to be sand down flat. So sometimes we'd be like, oh, it didn't work. And then I'm like, all right, great. Send me a picture. They send me a picture. And they just like glued a patch on top of the word Goodyear, and then I'm like, well, yeah, of course. Like look at all I can physically see where the air's going to come out. So and then the one we've been having most recently, and this is a new one, I think that happens because people have heard all this stuff. Oh, these guys didn't prep enough. I'm going to prep more. They use an angle grinder, right? which is great. Honestly, works if you do it right. But like often what happens is people just rip the angle grinder and then, grind the heck out of it. And then what happens is the tire smokes, the rubber gets too hot, and that rubber compound actually reverts and gets tacky, right? And then at that point, nothing's going to stick to it. The rubber is like the rubber is like a really interesting part of this entire process. But what happens is rubber cures, and if it gets too hot again, it like uncures pretty much. That's like the reversion. And that's what happens. So the adhesive doesn't work. So you're like, oh, the kit didn't work. It's like, well, no, this is also on the instructions that weren't read, but you like angle grind the heck out of it. The whole thing smokes, and then it's like sticky, So that's the one we've been.
Sticky's got to be good. You're helping the glue.
Yeah. If you were like old school when they did the I'm drawing a blank on the term when you like caught the whole thing on fire. That might help, but in this case, you don't need it to be hot.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm glad you pointed that out. That actually changes the structure of the rubber and makes it where it doesn't stick. So it sounds like it's really simple to use, and common sense. You need a nice flat area, or flattish, as flat as you can be. So in the kit, do you guys have anything like sandpaper? Do you have anything like? And the other thing is, how do you know it's sealed? I mean, you can drive a little bit or you can drive a little bit and see if the air is holding in the tire. But do you guys recommend like a water bottle, maybe soapy water in the bottle to check the patch?
Yeah, great question. So first of all, we offer two different kinds of prep solutions in the kits. Every kit has sandpaper. It's 80 grit paper. It's cut to size so that you can use the patch as a backing and sand it down by hand. It sucks in some cases, but that's always an option. Our Expedition kit, our highest dollar kit, also comes with a flat disc. So an 80 grit flat disc that you can chuck into a drill again, and then do that all, with power tools, which of course goes a lot faster.
Oh yeah.
So that's really, those are the kind of the two ways we suggest prepping. After you have the patch done, like you said, you can look at it, you can listen to it. Something I do is I'll use just water. This is another issue we have sometimes, but when you introduce more chemicals into the process, then it just complicates things.
Yeah.
Right. So a lot of times people will be like, this is another good one. Oh, I used brake cleaner all over the whole tire so that it would be clean, and then use it. It's like, no, don't do that. Like, it doesn't say do that anywhere in the instructions. So, but like, my concern is always, well, if I use soap and then soapy water, and then I have to go back and repatch or something like that, it'll be residue of soap that's absorbed into the rubber, and then that, depending on the soap or whatever chemical, will interact differently with the adhesive and will likely hurt. So I always just use normal water myself, because you can see. I mean, if it's leaking, if you drip water on there with a water bottle or something, you can see where it's spraying it out. It's not as obvious if you have the bubbles.
Well, this is good too, because everybody's got water with them. You may not have soapy water out on the trail, and I didn't think about the chemical composition of the soap causing an issue. Yeah, why risk it? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
All right, so now we have a patch. Is it? I guess it's not always on the outside of the tire. It could be on the inside of the tire, can't it?
Yeah, we've, initially that was not our intent, but we've had people use
I mean the inside being where it's mounted, so that you have the stuff, side of the tire that's on the outside, then you have the other stuff that's towards the inside, which is, I mean, it's also nice. I mean, it's a little more difficult working there, but it's also nice. You don't have to take the wheel and tire off to get to it. Yeah,
we see that all the time on the inside of the tires. Definitely, I think more common on the outside, but we see it frequently. And yeah, like I said, you can still do it. You just have to be, I guess, obviously always be careful if you're crawling under your vehicle, but then making sure that the damage is oriented in such a way you can get to it. But,
but I mean, I'm just thinking it doesn't really matter if it's on the inside or the outside.
No.
You did mention that about people taking the tire off and patching the inside of the tire. Which I would think that would be a great way of handling it. I mean, if you really want to make sure that tire is going to be not leak on you when you're off road. The only potential issue, I don't know how thick these patches are, but I would think the only potential issues are changing the balance of the wheel, depending on how much patch you're putting on.
Totally. I mean, I think we recommend in all, all the instructions, keeping it at like a very low rate of speed, right? When after you patch the sidewall. So, I feel like generally you run into those balance issues when you're running, higher speed or on the road. So,
Oh yeah.
But yeah, I mean, we've definitely had people patch from the inside. The biggest thing on the inside is that the prep work is even more important. When they're manufacturing those tires, there's a release agent on the mold that's often left, residue is left on the
Sure.
inside of the tire afterwards. So you just have to make sure you prep enough. And, I suggest doing that with an 80 grit flap wheel. You can buy them from us. You can also get them from, whatever, Home Depot or Lowe's or Ace.
Well, you already got the drill with a big battery on it, and now getting the little attachment for the drill, you're probably carrying it anyway. You may even have one of those impacts so that you can work on your stuff or like other people's stuff when you're out on the trail. Yeah. So yeah, it just makes sense to do it. You just have to be careful not to overheat the rubber, which I think is a great thing to remember whenever you're trying to do this. So do you guys have any King of the Hammer stories? I mean, I can well see the Glutred. I don't know if they just changed the tire. Changed the tire and wheel when they have problems. I would think that patching it would be the way to go.
Welcome to the Jeep Talk Show Roundtable. Join our live community discussions and share your builds. Find out how and when to join at our website. See you on the trail.
Yeah, there's definitely, obviously it depends on the case. We've heard stories of, just various Ultra 4 cars using it for that. I think one of our really early stories, there was an Ultra 4 car. It wasn't at King of the Hammers. I forget which race it was at. Maybe the Mint or something. I forget. But he got second in his class. I think it was a 4,500 class with a patch. And there's a picture of him holding the trophy, and you can see the patch behind him on the tire, which is cool. I'm trying to think. We were down there this year at King of the Hammers, and we ran into a boatload of people that had used it. I'm trying to think if we talked to anyone that had used it during the race. I know we had some people using it on their pre-runners at Baja this year.
Oh, this just seems like the thing you got to have. It's inexpensive, and from the pros to just the everyday, the weekend warriors, because nobody wants to have to stop and do a lot of stuff or limp back to base. I mean, this thing, you patch it, and you more than likely you're done for the rest of your trip. I mean, all you do is just drive it, and if you get the kit that has multiple patches, you really don't have to worry about fixing any other issues that you have. I think that, you can run hard enough where you can get more sidewall damage, but I think the vast majority of the people, it's going to be rare. And just to have the ability to change it quickly is great. Oh, and it also, it's great if it's not your Jeep, because you get to practice on somebody else.
Yeah, that's right. We had a guy this year at EJS, trailered his Jeep, I think from Pennsylvania, maybe New York. Trailered all the way out to EJS, pulled it off the trailer and caught it on the trailer, on the inside, as you were talking about, on the inside of the tire. Caught it, ripped it. And then he actually brought the tire to our booth. We patched the booth, and then he was able to run the rest of his week at EJS. Did
he at least have a kit, or was he getting the free kit and having somebody do the work?
I think he got a free kit too, if I remember correctly. I was like, but we got to take a video of it. So we did a video.
Yeah.
That's it. This is another great thing. If you use the Glutred kit, there's a card in every one of our kits that says this. If you use a kit, take a video of yourself using it and send it to us, and you'll get a free replacement kit. So, if you do it right,
beautiful,
you can buy one kit and it's good forever, right? Because as long as you take a video of you using the kit and doing the repair, like, we'll literally trade you a replacement kit for that video. So,
that's great. That's a lot better idea if you get anybody to do it. That's a lot better idea than putting the logo on the patches.
It's easier to keep track of, if nothing else. But
so I don't want to make this sexist or the border on mansplaining, but this is something that, it doesn't require a lot of physical force to do any of these things. It's just a step-by-step procedure. And most women will read instructions, so they'll probably be more successful at it. But this is something that men or women can use.
Yeah, especially, when you're handling, a 40-inch tire, 37, 42, all these tires are getting so big now. It's like, I'm a physically active, physically fit 32-year-old, and it's like, I have trouble moving a 40-inch tire around.
Sure.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like, especially if you're on the trail and if it's mounted somewhere or whatever, it's like, you know, it's difficult to move these big spares. So it's like, it's really easy to, you know, put a patch on it, or you're in a place where you don't want to jack up the vehicle, but you're on an angle or whatever. It's like, and that's risk in itself. So it's like, you know, I think if you're spending any time off road, there's just inherently risk, and everyone's
Right.
like, oh, it's too risky to like to patch your sidewall. It's like, yeah, it's also risky to use like a high lift jack on an incline.
Oh man.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
right? Like just pick your battle, decide which risk you want. But that's the nature of spending time, you know, off of your couch, you know. So it's
Right.
like just kind of what it is.
Adventures, you have to pay for your adventures, one way or another.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's just paying with discomfort, concern.
Yeah.
It's like the high lift. We all make fun of the high lift jacks. They're very good jacks. And if you read the instructions and just think it through, they do well. But I mean, it's scary. I haven't used one that much, but they're scary, and especially when they start slipping or sliding off of the vehicle.
But they're great tools. Yeah.
No, I think you have to have one. Absolutely, you got to have one. And make sure it's a high lift and not something that high lifts are dangerous enough. Don't get something that's a third party non high lift jack, you know, a farm jack. So, but yeah, that's really cool. So men, women, you don't have to take the tire wheel off. You can patch it most times right where it is. There's prep work that you have to do, but my God, you got that power screwdriver or I'm sorry, power drill or whatever. And the 80 grit sandpaper, don't set it on fire. I mean, I think we all go back to the time that we were burning tire rubber in our vehicles or even in our Jeeps. It's like, you love that smell. I don't know if you're that way. I love that smell, you know? So if you start reminiscing and enjoying the smell of the tire, you've gone too far.
That's right. That's right.
Oh, remember that burnout I did? All right. So I was going to ask you, you have to have a way of airing the tire back up. So, I mean, there's all kinds of things out there, onboard air, there's power tanks, there's all kinds of ways of re-airing up the tire. Are you guys partnering with anyone or working with anyone to be the Glutred air source?
Yeah, I guess the short answer is nothing official. Long answer is I think it depends on what you're doing with your vehicle, right? If you're airing up and down frequently, like we love the guys at Morphlate, they're great. Tyler's an awesome guy. I think they run like a pretty stand-up company. They guarantee their products, have great customer service, and they're always, you know, doing some innovative stuff. So we love the Morphlate crew. You know, we have some inflation options for power sports. So like US Border Patrol, they carry kits with us that, you know, are smaller than the size of a tissue box, and they come with CO2 cartridges, and just a 16-gram cartridge, not a full power tank, so that you can have it under the seat of an ATV. And then we have chucks that we're actually now manufacturing here in the US. That's something that's been kind of a long-term endeavor for us. But so yeah, you know, the small CO2 works well for an ATV, works well for some side-by-sides too. I mean, some of these side-by-sides now are running 35 plus inch tires, you know, and you don't want to be blowing that up with a 16-gram cartridge. But, you know, and then for like more like a daily user, you know, I don't know, there's a ton of options out there.
I just thought you guys might be recommending someone, but it's neat that you guys have a side-by-side or ATV kit. So I'm glad you brought up Tyler. We recently did a third interview, I think, with Tyler, and not this one, but the one before. I just randomly asked him about because he has a good company and it's a neat idea, and I asked him, has anybody purchased or wanted to purchase your company? And we went down a rabbit hole about and he actually had a well-known company tell him that he didn't have patents on his products, and he could sell it to them. He could sell them the company, or they would just make a copy of his and run him out of business. And I'm very naive about this stuff. I had, oh my God, that's just so distasteful. That why would anybody do that? And then I thought about it. Went, hey, this is just how business is done. You know, and so most recently had him on, and we identified the company that I identified the company based on clues that Tyler gave me, and he smiled and laughed. He didn't do it himself. legal implications, obviously. So with all that explanation, just so you'll be up to speed on where we are with that, have you had any situations? I mean, I think you have a very unique product, and I can see very well how even a tire company would want to have your product. Maybe they want your product so they can squash it. Because you're not selling as many tires if you don't have the old standby of like sidewall damage, the tire's done.
Yeah. I mean, we have people reach out very frequently, wanting to, acquire the company, but I don't know. I think there's two main things I think about here. First of all, we do have utility patents on this product. So, just, I don't know if you're familiar with intellectual property law, but essentially you can have a design patent or you can have a utility patent. Design patent would be me like designing a 3 by 3 inch patch that was all black and like no one else could make, but you could make one that was 3.5 by 3.5 or whatever. So so there's the design patent. We have actually a utility patent on the way the whole system works. So that helps us a lot. We have had we've had a couple Chinese companies try to copy it. Most recently we had a company, a Chinese company, come out with a product that it's like they were selling the exact, like, the internal patches that they still use at times on inside of patches in the tread area.
Right.
They had those exact patches in their kit. They used pictures of our patches on tires. My hand was in their packaging. They had all the instructions that were copyrighted. They used. They violated the patent. All this stuff. We took them to Amazon, got them shut down immediately. Stuff like that. So you just have to keep an eye on it. But we have had some people try to copycat. The other thing is, it's so funny when you look at it. It's like, oh, it's just rubber and glue. It's like super simple, and it's not. Like, the rubber is so much more complicated than what people give it credit for. I mean, the amount of R&D that we've done on rubber. I mean, I've thrown away an embarrassing amount of rubber that just didn't work because you can't do things in small batches. I mean, it's like, and it's really hard to reverse engineer as well, because it's like baking a cake. It's like if I hand you a cake and be like, you have to tell me how to make this. It's like, well,
right.
How did you mix stuff? How long did you bake it? What kind of oven, all this other stuff. So it's a really complicated thing. Plus the utility patent, makes us like, going back to your initial question, like definitely a target for someone who wants to.
Oh yeah. Any success at all, I would imagine, makes you a target.
Yeah. The other thing that we do is we don't cut any corners. We manufacture everything here in the US. So like when you manufacture things overseas, you have this problem where your manufacturer is selling you a kit, but they're also selling to your competitors out the back door and not telling you it's the exact same product often. It depends on your quality, all this other stuff. But we manufacture everything here. So we don't have that international like question mark. And we've also done everything right. It's like we've made it actually the best we can. We build the brand in a way that, like, I mean, a perfect example is we came out with better rubber about a year ago. You wouldn't know looking at it. Looks the exact same.
Right.
Everyone who bought a kit on our website in the year preceding that, we sent them free rubber. Just like they didn't, if you bought a kit, you received it. It happened. Not if you bought on Amazon because we don't have your customer data, but if you buy it on our website, we just sent everybody free rubber. It's like, hey, this is the best stuff we have. Don't worry about sending us any more money. This is just yours. It's like, I think the real value, and I think Tyler's done a really good job of this, but the real value in your company is the brand as much as the product, right?
Yeah,
people know it's like, if you have a more
trust,
product,
that relationship that you have. Yeah, absolutely.
100%. If you have more flake product, they'll take care of you. Same way, you can call our 800 number, and my dad will literally pick up the phone, and he will be like, what do you need? And we'll take care of you. I mean, that's the brand that we're building, and I think really, in a lot of ways, more value than the intellectual property associated.
Right. So have you had to defend your patent? Or have you just used it as a pry tool?
Yeah, we haven't had any like lawsuits yet. But like it works for Amazon. And
I'm sure Amazon's huge, getting them to take down that seller, which is great, because I remember asking Tyler offering the information. It's $50,000 just to start the defense of the patent. And that's
crazy.
Yeah. So that's why, I mean, it was neat talking to him about it, because it taught me how naive I was, because I'm thinking people shouldn't do that. And if they do, it's very few. And I mean, China, we understand how China works. So yeah, I know that they just do things. But other people, other U.S. companies, it would just be silly, and the bad it would get around, and they would be bad for the company that they're just copying something. This well-known company that was in that I found in the interview and put on the show, they're a nice company, and not only did they copy the Morphlate product, they copied the color. It's the same damn color. You can't even come up with a different color. You know, and if you look on Amazon, there's a bunch of companies selling the same type of setup for the Morphlate system. So, like I said, it was very eye opening, and I guess that you have to distinguish yourself with the quality of products, like what you're saying, the customer service being available, so on and so forth. So, I think a lot of people think it would be so cool to own a company, but there's so many things to it that you have to deal with.
It's a lot. Part of it's, parts of it are really fun and awesome, really rewarding. And parts of it are like, everyone's like, oh, I'd be self-employed, then I can just work my own hours. It's like, congratulations, your hours are now 24/7.
Oh yeah.
I literally dream about work. It's like, there are times where it's like, I'll go to bed and I finally get a break, it was a long day, and go back, and I just like thinking about work in my dreams while I'm sleeping. I'm like, God, you can't get a second off. So
which is better though, running your own company with all the headaches and stuff, or working for somebody else?
I think it just depends on the individual. For me, I'm a bad employee. I've always kind of been that. I want to work. I work really hard for myself. I have trouble working hard for other people. Frankly.
I'm exactly the same way, because they're idiots. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Right. But there's stress that comes with that. Right. And I think a lot of times I think about people I went to high school and college with that were frankly like way smarter than me. But my risk tolerance and ability to like manage the stress was, I guess, superior to theirs. And I think, but that's not necessarily a good thing either. You can work for someone else and live a life that you absolutely love. You know what I mean? I think it's just dependent on what your risk tolerance is.
But you personally, I think you're doing this business, and you wouldn't be doing it if you weren't enjoying all the things that you're doing. I think just having a product that people appreciate and enjoy and helps them is a big deal. I mean, and you mentioned the people coming up to you at the booth. That's wonderful. It's like whenever people talk about, I listen to the show, I've listened to it for many, many years. And you hear that stuff and you go, the show has made a difference in somebody's life, and your product has as well.
I think that's there's two things that are most rewarding for me. The first is, like you said, somebody coming up and telling me, we had another one recently. The guy's like, I was with my family and we were snow wheeling, and we were in the middle of nowhere and had this problem and used your product and got out. Like, so stuff like that is like, it's what drives you to do as good a job as you can. It's also the most rewarding part. There's that. And then the other part for me is providing jobs and lifestyles for people that I care about, that they enjoy. Right. Mm-hmm. So like, I want to pay my employees well. I want to be flexible with their scheduling, and I want them to like genuinely enjoy the place that they are. Because I think I've definitely had jobs where it's like, it makes me hate everything about everything the rest of my life.
Oh, yeah.
Just like, it's so mad. But I think being able to provide quality jobs and good experiences for people you care about is the other really rewarding part.
Yeah. And I could also imagine that it makes you really nervous from the standpoint of making the right decisions, so that they can continue to be employed.
Yeah. That's the most stressful part.
Yeah. Oh, let me ask you this. So we've noticed a decline in advertising here on the show. How is business? How is the off-road business for you? Have you seen something? I mean, it was like September last year that we saw a dive, and it hasn't come back yet. How's the industry doing, at least from your standpoint?
Yeah, we're continuing to grow at a really steady rate. I mean, I think a lot of that is because I think there's a couple factors. So for, business for us in general, I think is going well because our biggest hurdle is awareness. So as soon as someone learns about the product, they buy it, right? So I think we're definitely in that growth curve. I think generally speaking, I've talked to a lot of other business owners in the in the off-road space, but also outside the off-road space, just in the outdoor space in general, and otherwise within product. And they've all been slower. And I think that's just the effects of like economy stuff. I mean, yeah, you have gas prices and stuff like that that's been over just like maybe the last couple months, but like life's really expensive, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's all kinds of ratios that you can look at that say exactly that. But, you know, I think about people my age. I'm, like I said, I'm in my early 30s, and I have a lot of like responsible friends that work hard and have, you know, that work well and are responsible spenders, and they like still can't afford houses and stuff. And it's like, you know, and I think generally life is more expensive and you have to give up somewhere. And I think the reality of it is that, you know, we in the off-road space, that is recreational. It's like, you don't have to drive, you know, go on a road trip or something like that to get by, but you got to buy groceries, you know? So I think that, you know, and then that trickles down, you know, to your advertising spend, right? It's like, if people are buying less product and a company is less profitable, they can't put as much into marketing, even though in some ways that's what they need to do, but the money's just not there for it. So,
yeah. Well, I think it's an important thing, what you said. It was important that the way life is harder, you can't buy a house, so on and so forth. So some people might go, well, you certainly shouldn't have a Jeep. You certainly shouldn't be going off-road and maybe damaging your vehicle where you need stuff. Screw that. Yeah. You need to enjoy your life. I mean, ultimately, that's why we're here. So I just point out that you can take your Jeep off-road, and if you get sidewall damage, you have a cheap way of fixing the problem very quickly. I would think under 30 minutes, depending on your level of expertise, and then getting back to the fun. I mean, literally getting back to having a good time with your life.
Right. I think that's the other part of our business that's really helpful. Is I don't know if anything is totally recession proof, but like generally speaking, adhesives do well in a recession because you're going to fix something instead of buying new, you know? So it's like, while at the same time, it's like, yeah, this is not a permanent fix. You know, I think people try to stretch things like that when times are more financially trying.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Welcome to the Jeep Talk Show. Got a story or question? Send us a video voicemail. Just use your phone. We'll play it on the show. Link is below. Keep Jeeping and talk soon.
Yeah, and also, too, we'll just mention, if you don't already know, tires are kind of expensive. So
yeah, and they're getting crazy expensive. I mean, even just in the last couple of years, like, you know, I mean, it makes sense. It's oil based, and there's a lot of travel. I mean, I guess some of them are made here, but and then it's everything's just.
We need to start making them out of corn, and then the price will go down.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
All right. Well, really cool. And I'm not saying that you need to, but do you have any new products that you're coming out with, or changes that you're anticipating?
A couple things. We released a snowmobile kit that fixes the paddle of a snowmobile. Which,
interesting.
You know, not necessarily relevant in the Jeep world, but a lot of people maybe who drive a Jeep also have a snowmobile. And that kit just absolutely blew up. That's been doing really well. We crushed it. I mean, we released it in February, and the month it released, it was our best-selling kit, which is just wild. So in the off-road space, we're working on some other stuff, nothing like publicly yet. I think the coolest thing right now, so one of my good friends here, his name is Brian. He comes to the trade shows with us, and we actually worked with him to put together a Glutred rock crawler, which is built on a Mighty Max frame, and it has 40-inch tires, and he did a great job with it. But if you ever see that out on the trail, he'll have kits with him, and you can go up and get a kit. It'll be a kit that you can only get if you find him on the trail. So he'll actually be down in Sand Hollow, I think next week. I'm not sure when this will air, but
poor bastard.
Yeah, I know, right? It's tough life. So I don't know. I mean, yeah, nothing that we're ready to release yet, but we're always working on more stuff. And,
well, and that's a good way to proof the product from people that are stealing it, making copies of it. I mean, patents are fine, but like I said, they're expensive to go after people. Real quick, Amazon doesn't give you customer data. How do you know whenever they have a warranty concern that they actually bought it?
We will get their name, but not like any of their shipping information. They'll get like a name and a confirmation of their order, but not an
address or anything like that. No, so you can't use it for advertising, or if you want to do point advertising. That's interesting.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, they just protect customer data. I mean, in some ways, as a customer of Amazon, I'm glad they're not giving my data to everyone else. But on the backside of it, it's, in our specific case, it's great. Like most recently, like I said, we just ship free stuff to people when we improve it.
Right.
But you have to buy on our website. If you buy on Amazon, you're kind of like, well,
Yeah.
good luck.
Just a side story here that might affect you on shipping things. Did you hear about Amazon has opened up their shipping business? They're shipping planes and 18-wheelers and to your door. They've opened up the shipping to compete with UPS and FedEx.
Yeah, I've heard that. It'll be interesting to see how that does. I mean, we almost exclusively use UPS now.
Sure.
Our office is like 10 yards from a post office, a USPS. But they were losing such a high percentage of our shipments that it was
misdelivering over here
with them.
Yeah.
So we just went to UPS entirely because we had so many people that were like, hey, my stuff never showed up. And it's like, well, the tracking number says it did. I'm like, I don't know, it didn't. It's like, well, they probably lost it.
Oh God, USPS lies. They say dropped it off at the resident's address. And I'm looking, I got cameras set up. You'll see me glance over here occasionally because of the security cameras. And I know if they delivered anything to my house or not. And I think they have to meet certain quotas. And I think they've been instructed just to mark it as delivered. It'll get there tomorrow. So, Congress doesn't bitch at them or something, but I think it's really cool. When I told my wife about that, she goes, does that mean Amazon delivery thing is going to pull up and you may be getting stuff from somebody that's not Amazon? And I looked it up and so, I mean, they're out running around anyway. They might as well, deliver for everybody. So, anyway, hopefully that'll be good for you guys, and shipping where you can, get a more inexpensive, shipping deal.
Yeah, it'd be great. Generally, Amazon is the worst to work with, but hopefully they are better on the shipping side. Who knows? UPS has been good. But, who knows? I mean, I've always enjoyed UPS. I think that their delivery is a little higher. Certainly, whenever I buy something from Amazon and shipping is included, it makes it nice that I mean, even if they add to the price of the part, there's something psychological about getting free shipping, even though it's not free. Yeah, that's right.
All right. Something that is free is social media. I know you guys are all over social media. I remember seeing, I haven't seen one recently, but where you take a knife and you stab a tire and then repair it and doing various other things. So there's fun things to look at. Where can the kids who love looking at the pictures, where can they find you guys on social media?
Yeah, just Glutred, Glutread. That's Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, you name it, all of them. So. And
you guys are on Facebook? How about YouTube?
Yep. We have some YouTube stuff as well. We do a lot of YouTube shorts. We're going to start doing some longer form YouTube stuff, but yeah.
So if somebody would like to see how the Glutred is used in practical environments, I think any of those places you can look, but certainly YouTube is usually a longer form. You can go over there and see how easy it is to apply your product.
Yep, totally. And you can watch me do it, or you can watch, anymore. There's hundreds of videos of other people doing it too. So
nice. I'm glad you guys are having success, especially if you're young of an age. Had your dad done anything business wise prior to this?
Yeah. So my dad was an engineer. This is part of where my root of American manufacturing comes. My grandpa was forced into early retirement because all the steel mill production went overseas, and then my dad was a mechanical engineer working in factory automation in those steel mills. All went overseas. He lost his job. So my dad actually, he's like, I was young. I think I was in second grade when that happened. And he's like, I have to do something. He actually started selling health insurance. So he started a health insurance brokerage after his engineering career, and then built that up just in our hometown, and grew it and turned into a really nice company with his business partner. And then he eventually retired. And then that's when he and I started this. So it was a really fun pairing of, he had his background in engineering and in business, and I was in business, and we were able to just kind of, go and do it together. So it'd be awesome to have him on at some point. Actually, that'd be kind of fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. On Thanksgiving Day, do you guys actually not talk about business, about glue? I was gonna ask earlier. Does your dad get really happy when he's working with the glue, and then when he gets out of that glue environment, it has a crash?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he likes sniffing it. I don't know. No, he definitely does not. But we do talk about work all the time. My sister runs all of our social media, and and then, my dad's still very involved. And then my mom is actually the one that like holds the whole thing together and makes it all possible. So it's like, yeah, family dinners are often consumed by,
is there a lot of eye rolling and face palming? Would you guys shut up?
Yeah, there are times. My dad loves taking, like I said, if you call the 800 number, he'll pick up the phone. We always joke, he'll take a call no matter what. It'd be like Christmas dinner and had an 800 number on the Glutred, and he'll pick it up. It's hilarious. But,
all right, Andy. Well, let's. I'll get Chris to send over some stuff, and we'll get your dad on. I think that'd be fun to.
Yeah,
especially
really
if I get him to tell off on you about some of the bad things you did in high school and junior high.
There's plenty. Yeah.
All right, man. Thanks so much for being here, and glad to get you on again. I'm sorry it's been so long, but we'll reach out to you again here in the near future and get you back on. And reach out if you got anything new about the product that you want to share with us.
Yeah, we really appreciate it, and thanks for having us on again. It's always fun.
Oh, we need to get your sister on too. That'd be fun to get all three of you guys.
Do a whole family event.
A family fight.
Oh yeah, it'd be good.
You're my friend. You're my new friend.
The Jeep Talk Show is more than a podcast. It's a show that's been on since 2010, and we have over 1,400 episodes. Head over to xjtalk.com and subscribe.